Hey guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video, and a live video this time because there's a little bit of breaking news basically, and it's come from Simon Bukowski over at the Manchester Evening News, who suggested that Manchester City could sell Jayden Braaf in the January transfer window. And a lot of City fans might even be going, who is Jayden Braaf? Because obviously, if you don't fully pay attention to the academy sides, I understand that. But if you don't know who he is, basically, he's a very talented, very mercurial young academy player who looks like he's upset some of Manchester City's first team coaches and other such things. And it looks like we could be potentially looking down another Jadon Sancho type situation, which obviously isn't optimal and obviously isn't ideal at all. So fingers crossed it doesn't come to that. But basically, the story is based around the premise that Jayden Braaf feels a bit hard done by, apparently, which is a bit odd. I mean, not sure necessarily that's true, or not sure. I don't really know, actually. I guess we don't really fully know. I had heard reports in general that when he went to train with the first time, he kind of annoyed a lot of people because he was a bit cocky. Not cocky in a good way, just apparently cocky in a cocky kind of way. And eventually they decided he wasn't mature enough and sent him back to the academy sides, where allegedly he's had a falling out with Enzo Maresca, the EDS coach, and he's been left out of the last 5 under-23 matches, so he's not even playing for the EDS sides at the moment. And obviously promotion to the first team isn't seen as realistic, so it could be that he might just move on in January, unfortunately. Now, obviously, my initial reaction is this is a big potential loss as far as academy players go, you know, because obviously it's not really a big loss if you lose someone who's never played for the first team. But I mean in terms of, I guess proportionally speaking, as an academy player, he's a big loss. Now, he only actually signed a new long-term deal like last year in 2019. He was literally our under-23s player of the season. He obviously helped us win the the FAU Cup in November. And he's obviously a really talented young player. So this would be a bit of a crying shame if we end up losing him. But what I can tell, he seems like a bit of a cocky player. Now, I don't follow him on Snapchat because I'm 35 years old, so I don't use Snapchat. But yeah, a lot of you guys, a lot of younger fans follow him on Snapchat, and apparently he's always being a little bit cocky on Snapchat, like flashing his money and all that kind of stuff, driving around Manchester late at night, living the kind of gangster big life, basically. So apparently he's a little bit full of himself, and I had seen him occasionally put slightly snidey captions on Instagram and during lives and things like that as well. So I think he's a bit full of himself, and there's nothing wrong with that, I guess, for a young player to an extent, and hopefully they can grow out of it. But eventually, I guess, hopefully he can grow out of it. I mean, he'll probably deny it was true, and obviously we can't prove it either way. But in theory, if it was true, you would hope that he would mature a little bit. Maybe the situation isn't untenable. Maybe he can get back in the good books. But I do. If it's true that he is a bit cocky, I do agree. I do agree that he shouldn't be in the first team. I mean, to be honest, I do think mentality is absolutely critically important. You're not going to start an academy player who's been a bit cocky and been a bit arrogant in training. I mean, can I just clarify one thing as well? By the way, there's nothing wrong with cockiness in terms of self-belief. Like, if you're Cristiano Ronaldo and you're that cocky, it's fine because you're the best, and you're cocky because you have so much self-belief and you're intensely focused in training and you work incredibly, incredibly hard. But I mean, cocky isn't always a good trait. Cocky can also be a bit arrogant and taking the piss, and it can also be a little bit like trying to show off constantly. It can be a negative trait. Cocky can also be a positive trait, because self-belief and cockiness aren't the same thing, basically. Ronaldo is cocky in a self-belief kind of way, and it appears Braaf is kind of cocky in I'm a big-time Charlie kind of way. It could be that he grows out of it, but basically it could also be that he's a little bit like, I don't know, Joe, who also is like that in my opinion, Memphis Depay, like a little bit arrogant, thinks he's a big superstar and struts around like he owns the place when he plays for Lyon, who are a decent club, but he's not at one of the biggest clubs in the world. It could be that he's a little bit like that and he likes the high life a little bit much. It could also be that he's not like that. It could also be that he's like that and very hard working and a good player, and fair enough. But it's understandable that if he is like that how it could rub up some players the wrong way. Now, the reports, I think it was Sam Lee who said it a few months back, that it wasn't just the fact that Guardiola wasn't impressed or anything like that. Apparently, he just slightly annoyed coaches and first-team players with his attitude in training. And to be honest, that sounds like very much a him thing. It's not obviously because he's a beating people or anything like that on the pitch. He won't be that because obviously Felix Lemaitre, Cole Palmer, Liam Delap, all these people train with the first team all the time and there's no issues with them whatsoever. So I guess at Manchester City, whether you agree with it or not, professionalism, and I don't know how they define that, of course, but that's just what they say, so I can't categorically say if he's being professional or not, but they define professionalism as incredibly important for young players, and they have to have the right attitude and right focus, and if they perceive that he hasn't been the right person for that, they will let him go. Now, I don't know if these are the things, but I think it's fair to say that he is an incredibly good player, and we have been burned by the Sancho saga, so surely, logically, you'd guess that we wouldn't want another Sancho situation on our hands, so we wouldn't give up easily if we felt this player could have that kind of potential, unless there was a reason. Surely that's what you'd think. You never know. People are stubborn. Who knows? It could be that his personality simply doesn't mix with the first team. It could be that he's done nothing wrong. It could be that maybe the coaches are right, though. Either way, little things like unfollowing Manchester City on social media, they just seem very childish to me. He doesn't strike me as the kind of person like Tommy Doyle or, I don't know, even like McAtee and Cole Palmer, who are very focused and will keep their head down. He doesn't strike me as that kind of person. CTID 1994 said, but the first team coaches had told him he was going to be with the first team. I mean, maybe they had at some point, but unfortunately, things do change, you know. I mean, if you've got people like Laporte sat on the bench for days, and you've got Ake not getting into the squad every now and then, and Bernardo not getting on, and Foden, as good as he is, struggling to get games, there's no guarantee, unfortunately. It's very difficult. So you have to be utterly focused. And people are obviously going to try and blame Pep, and this is Fulio, not Coolio, saying this is ultimately the bald idiot's fault. I mean, you can't say that based on just speculation, can you? I mean, it's also worth noting that the under-23s coach has dropped him as well. I'm sure that's got nothing to do with Guardiola, you know. Absolutely nothing to do with Guardiola. So maybe it's his fault, you know. Once again, if you're driving around Manchester at midnight during the midweek games and you just, you know, flashing your money and all that kind of stuff and acting like a big-time Charlie instead of at home resting up ahead of training, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it does slightly tally with the perception of him. He also did have slight problems apparently at PSV as well. He was in trouble for being a little bit disruptive at PSV before he left. So Sancho, what I will say with Sancho is that his attitude in training was never really questioned. So it's very different to Sancho in that way. Like Sancho just didn't trust he'd get a chance, but he had no problems in training. Like City had no problems with him in training and all that kind of stuff. Whereas this is not really about that. It's more about, allegedly, according to reports, and I can't obviously confirm if it's true, none of us can, it's about him not having the right application in training, apparently. Ace212 said, why isn't he going to be loaned? He could be, according to the reports, it could be that there's not a permanent solution in January. It could be that he's loaned out. I mean, hopefully the door is not fully closed. The report from the Manchester Evening News and Simon Bukowski does say that after some frank conversations about his progression, he could leave it permanently in January, or it could be that he could be loaned out as well. I'm hoping he's loaned out. I'm hoping he gets a taste of football. I'm hoping he, I guess if he fixes up and looks sharp, basically, you know, tries to get his head down, because I do agree in general, regardless of how talented the player is, and once again, it's all based on speculation. I can't confirm if he is cocky or not. What I will basically say is that if it is true that he's cocky and he isn't working as hard as others in training or acts a bit big-time Charlie, then unfortunately he doesn't get a game. It's as simple as that. And I don't give a shit how good you are. If you act cocky, you don't get involved. And mainly because you have to set those standards. Because as soon as you show favoritism to a player because of their ability, despite their attitude, you open up a can of worms then. You do. It becomes messy and horrible to manage. Will reckons maybe a doubt. Will Hart says a doubt alone will do anything to help his attitude towards City. Maybe not, mate, but if he goes on loan somewhere and does really well, it could be that he matures a little bit, deals a little bit of pressure and grows up, and it could be that he comes back and goes, time's a healer, you know. I mean, look at that. Look at Tevez came back from a golfing trip to help Man City win the league. I'm pretty certain there's room for, you know, Jayden Braaf to grow and change his opinion. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but for me, I would like a temporary solution. CTD94 said he's only 18, give him a break. I've not really criticised him too badly. I've just said ifs and maybes, speculation. And as I said at the start of this video, he is only young, so I don't want to sell him yet. I do think people should have a space to grow up, and I understand that. He's also paid very, very well. He's paid very, very well. He's like literally a very rich teenager. He's 18. He's only young, but he ain't a baby, you know. Eventually, at some point, he has to accept a little bit of responsibility. But what I will say is that he is allowed to make mistakes. I agree with that. But at the same time, if you make mistakes, you're not going to be rewarded. So at some point, you're going to have to either grow up or get your head down and crack on. Now, I'm not saying he isn't doing these things, fair enough. But CTID 994 said he was 22 and still acting a certain way. That would be a problem, but he's only 18. That's fair enough, man. That's fair enough. And that's understandable. But if he does keep going, why am I not playing with the first team? They've got every right to turn around and go, well, it's because you're acting this way. Change it, and then maybe. And if he's kicked off about that, there's not much we can really do. It's on him, if it's true. If it's true, and I'm saying that, obviously give him the benefit of doubt to show it's true. I mean, I don't think we can really blame Pep on this one. Personally, I mean, Nemecha, Delap, Doyle, Bernabe, Palmer have all been involved this season. Maybe they could have been involved more, but it's not like they were ahead of them based on talent. Maybe it's just simply because they're not really impressed with his attitude. So it is what it is, unfortunately, there. I mean, obviously, we've seen Foden and Garcia breakthrough as well. So I don't think he's necessarily against the idea of giving young players at least a bench place every now and then. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. And I don't think the door's closed to him, and it shouldn't be closed to him. But based on what we know, the idea is a bit cocky, and City aren't keen on that, but he wants to play football for the first team. Someone's got to give, unfortunately. It will always be the first team's principles. It won't be an 18-year-old winger. And I can't really say I disagree fundamentally. I'm sorry. In life, you have to grow up. And maybe if he goes away for a loan for a few months, that would be nice. Hopefully, we don't sell him. Maybe we'd loan him. And hopefully, he does grow up a little bit. Maybe, as MCFC TJ just said, maybe we can include a nice buyback. And maybe we can go, look, it ain't personal. It could be that he's struggling, you know. Who knows? It could be that he's naturally a bit cocky or a bit insecure. So when he got into the first team, he tried a bit too hard and acted a little bit dismissive and a bit aloof. And it annoyed people, but it could have been that mainly, maybe because he's just a little bit, it could have been any reason. It could have been that he's a dick, or it could have been that he was insecure and tried playing up. And some people, when they're insecure, play up, if that makes sense, but it doesn't mean they're a bad person. These are all just guesses. I can't obviously know, but I can only base on the reasoning. So I tried to be as... I've added so many caveats during this video, but I think that's only fair because he's a young lad. And if he's watching this somehow, Jayden, I hope you watched this. If it's not true, I apologise. If it is true, or you don't feel it's true, maybe ask those around you who aren't attached to you. Maybe ask your teammates and all this kind of stuff. Maybe ask yourself, why is Tommy Doyle and Cole Palmer and Delap, all these people, and Felix Nemecha getting around with the first team and you're not? Maybe ask those questions to yourself. Maybe try and look in the mirror and go, well, is it me? Is it me? You know, or maybe just think, well, if I don't think it is me, but if it is what they say, maybe I'll try and do the opposite for a while to prove them wrong. Who knows, man? Who knows? If he somehow watches this, it could be that he's not happy in Manchester as well, as someone's just said. Who knows, man? Who knows? But what I will say is that he's only young. I agree. People have plenty of time to grow. We all change. I am an unrecognisable person from when I was 18. I must say, I wasn't very cocky, but I was definitely a very different person to when I was 18. Ashai Kulkarni reckons a loan to Anderlecht with Vinny would straighten him up. That would be nice, wouldn't it? I don't think he's a bad kid or anything like that, but he just could have the arrogance of youth potentially, which can be difficult, and it can be difficult to manage. And I do think, unfortunately, you've got to be professional. You're not going to get in the first team, and that the rumours that he's not. Unfortunately, that it will come back to burn him. Anyway, hello to everyone watching, by the way. It's good. I mean, I wasn't planning to do another live video today. I did that, obviously, post-mortem video this morning. And then I put my laptop down for a bit. I thought, I can't be asked to do any more content. I was struggling today. I've been in a stinker. And obviously, this isn't the best news. Someone just said, check City Extra's latest tweet. I'll go and do that right now. What's Freddie been tweeting about? A breakdown in communication between Man City and Jayden Braaf has led to the winger's future lying away from the Etihad Stadium. Breakdown in communication. I mean, I don't know what that means. That could refer to absolutely anything, I guess. Could refer to anything, but I think that's probably the underlying message is that, yes, I think they obviously have vocal disagreements. There is a trend of young players thinking that they, I guess, should get more than they do these days. I mean, there's a lot of young footballers that are entitled. He might not be, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was, you know. Based off what I've seen of him on social media, he does seem a bit arrogant. I'm not saying that's a crime. It's obviously literally not a crime. but it is maybe it's a bit annoying, you know. Pep seems to favour more conservative players in attacking sense, as Leo Marks. I've never seen anyone apart from Morris take anyone on. Sterling refused to. I thought Jadon was going to be the man. To be fair, I think Pep doesn't mind. I mean, I don't really necessarily agree with that personally. I mean, he literally managed Messi. He managed, obviously, Kingsley Coman talked quite famously how he was allowed to beat people, run at people, as long as he was in the right position. Sterling used to dribble a lot. He dribbled an awful lot more during the 17 to 19 years. He did dribble a lot, Sterling. He did. Sane dribbled a lot. Guardiola never had any problems with Sane dribbling, by the way. It was more his positional sense or tracking back and all that kind of stuff. So I don't really think... I personally don't think it's about conservatism. I think it's more about attitude and commitment to the structure and plan as opposed to individuality. I don't know. What would your solution be to our issues be? Everyone seems to have different opinions. Cameron, I wish I had the answer, mate. I'd be a millionaire. Personally, I think Guardiola is persisting in playing a way that he wants to, which makes sense, but I don't think he has the overall quality to implement a very complicated plan perfectly. I think we've got such a methodical way of playing that it has to be perfect to work. And at the moment, I think we've had a drop-off in quality, unfortunately, in terms of no longer got Fernandinho at his peak or David Silva or even Aguero. So I think we've dropped off a little bit. For me, I would mix it up a little bit, try different formations maybe to essentially overload the area until maybe in the summer we sign players that essentially fit into Pep ball, if that makes sense. Maybe someone like Husam or maybe some Zakari or something like that who can do the Fernandinho role and then Auer could do the Silva. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. But for now, personally, I mean, I am not a football manager. I mean, I would be tempted to maybe try something vastly different, you know, overload it a little bit going forward or something like that. Maybe just play free at the back and free defenders. Have the wingers bombing forward, try something a little bit different. Maybe even try Kevin De Bruyne a little bit deeper. Kevin De Bruyne's crossing ability is fantastic. Last night he was fantastic from deep, whipping in those crosses. And maybe De Bruyne a bit deeper allows us to play someone else ahead of him. So maybe De Bruyne is one of the in double pivot because he's just as effective there. So I don't know. I wish I knew the answers. Football is never simple. Football... I don't think this is ever going to be the season, by the way, for a resounding return to form, unfortunately. If you look around Europe, a lot of clubs are having lower points totals than they did last season. Pretty much, it's exactly the same around Europe. So I know it's not easy to watch, but I think this season is a fucking weird season. And I wouldn't be surprised if behind the closed doors, I know it's not good for us to watch, unfortunately, but I wouldn't be surprised if the likes of Cheeky Soriano and Guardiola and Caldoun are going, we ain't going to be great this year. Life's too weird. We didn't get the investments that we needed in the transfer market, and fans aren't there, and shit's weird, and it's another transition season. We don't have to like that, but I would not be surprised either. Would not be surprised. Leotil Motshega being incredibly in reaction there, saying Delap is never going to get another chance in the City first team. Delap's 17 years old, guys. 17. I went Guardiola there, guys. He's 17 years old. City really rate him, but he is 17 and he is very raw. As much as I want him to get involved, he's very, very young still. Like, he's obviously not even close to fully ready yet. So let's not give up on Delap just yet. I don't think Guardiola's given up on Delap yet either. He obviously hasn't given up on Delap. I think he just thinks he's a bit raw. Probably not fair, but at the same time, it's not unreasonable because Delap is raw. You know, he is raw. I watch him for the EDS all the time, and as exciting as he is, he also gives the ball away an awful lot. And we know Guardiola doesn't like that. Personally, that wouldn't bother me so much. I'd use him as a 10-minute sub at the end. But that's not down to Guardiola. And to be honest, I'd be very surprised if most managers in world football would do differently. So, yeah, unfortunately, I think Delap, he's a good player. He's a very good player. He's top quality, but he's obviously got a lot to learn at the same time, and I can't deny that. If Braaf leaves the on City, Moody, you're going to give up because an 18-year-old who's never been in the first team before, who reportedly, according to a lot of reports, has a bit of an attitude issue. You're going to give up on City if he leaves. Mate, honestly, I wish you'd seen what I did. Do you know, back in 98-99, I had to watch Man City loan Terry Cook from Manchester United's reserves to save us, to get us up into Division 1 from Division 2. The old Division 2, which is obviously League 1 now. I mean, if you're giving up on City because Braaf leaves, you've got it far too easy, pal. Alakook Singh says, from my limited football knowledge, the two ways to play 4-3-3, he's either attacking fullbacks, Liverpool, or two centre attacking midfielders, Centurions. But with the current 4-3-1, we end up doing neither. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's plenty of ways to play it as well. But yeah, I agree. They do seem the obvious ones as well. I mean, The 4-2-3-1 is too conservative for me. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. It's absolute nonsense. Are Arsenal playing now, by the way? Are they actually playing? I didn't even know they're playing right now. It's football on all the time. I just never know. There's so much football. Football never ends. Don't understand some of these comments, I presume you mean, Aiden. Gundo, everyone's talking about Gundo, by the way. I think Gundo's been very good recently. I presume you didn't mean cements. By the way, of course, Nicola's playing Valhalla behind me over there. I mean, it wouldn't be one of my streams if Nicola wasn't playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla sat on the floor. We need Joe and Beata and Rodwell. Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm frustrated as well about the idea of Braaf leaving, but I'm pretty certain it won't make me give up on Manchester City. I know you're obviously just being like, exaggerating. People exaggerate when they're frustrated, and like it's like you're not going to murder someone when they're frustrated. Like, kill him. I understand, mate, but I understand you're not actually going to give up on Man City. But I think we obviously sometimes we overreact to things. He isn't playing for second team. Of course, he wants to leave. Yeah, apparently he's fallen out with Enzo Maresca. From what I can tell, for what reports, Enzo Maresca's a pretty nice guy, so it must be difficult to fall out with Enzo Maresca. But he's fallen out with him, and he's not in the first team for whatever reason. I don't know why. I have no idea. None of us will actually know fully. We can only speculate, of course. But it doesn't point towards a positive picture overall. Don't forget, please hit the like button if you don't mind, and subscribe button. Carl Sanders saying he's black. I mean, he's literally given Felix the Matrix Champions League debut this year, mate. I mean, I don't think it's fair to pull the race card, personally. He literally has given him his Champions League debut, you know. So, like, Felix the Matrix. So, you may think that, but I mean, we signed Nathan Ake as well, you know. Personally, I don't think it's anything to do with that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it doesn't seem to make sense at all. Braff's attitude is also Neymar-esque. Mason reckons his attitude is Neymar-esque. Neymar's obviously a massive dick too. The difference is Neymar's proved it, I guess, and got his chances. And fair enough, but also I think Neymar's a bit of a dick, but more to his opponents, if that makes sense. I think he's a bit cocky, but Neymar apparently works really hard, and he's a very professional player and very focused. Obviously a bit cocky and arrogant, but apparently he's very focused. So I don't know. If he was as talented as Neymar and he proved himself as Neymar, then I think it's a bit of a stretch maybe to say he's talented as Neymar. We don't know yet. We also presume, by the way, and I do this as well. So obviously, I used to do this a lot more than I did, but my opinion has now changed after watching years of academy football and realising things aren't always as simple as they used to be. But I always used to presume that, great player, going to obviously do well in first team training. It could have been, by the way, that Braaf just didn't play that well in first team training. It could have been that as well. I mean, it's very easy beating under 18s players because you're faster and stronger than them, which he is. But I guarantee you it ain't easy to beat Kyle Walker in training. I guarantee it isn't. So it could have been that he was trying to do much, never passing the ball, keeping it all the time, running at people, and essentially just fucking up. You know, it could have been that as well. We don't really know. Hello to Matthew. Mark, there's nothing wrong with cocky players. I think it's more like Ronaldo's a cocky player. Guardiola would never turn down Ronaldo. We know that. We know he wouldn't. It's not about like cocky in that sense. I think it's more about cocky in how they act around people as opposed to self-belief. Like, I know for a fact that some Man City's players are pretty cocky. I know they are. I just know people who speak to Man City players and know they are, but I don't think self-belief and cockiness is necessarily a bad thing. I think it's more how they deal with people that it seems potentially negative, if that makes sense. So I think it's a very different kind of cocky, you know. But I guess we don't really know on that front. So yeah, it could be that he's a bit cocky. It could also be I mean, it could be that he's not. Maybe he is just like Neymar and in terms of attitude, and he just rubs up people the wrong way. We don't know. Soriano sucks, living off what he did at Barca. Fulio, not Coolio. Soriano probably wouldn't give a shit what you think, mate. Soriano's done pretty well for himself and also helped build Manchester City into one of the biggest clubs in world football. So he probably doesn't give a shit what you think, pal. And I can't really deny he's good at what he does either. We're not perfect, but no one is perfect. I think that's one of the biggest problems we have in general is that we expect perfection all the time. I'm not saying what we're doing is good enough, but I think I've learned to accept that sometimes what we do will not be good enough. You don't have to like it or agree with it, fair enough, but I've learned to accept that in general, sometimes things can be pretty shit because that is life, and there are lots of other very good, very talented people constantly trying to usurp you, and every now and then, you'll create a beast of your own making, and in this instance, the beast that we've made obviously was Liverpool for a while, and we've encouraged everyone else to improve and get better and on and better and better. And as a result, Man City have dropped off a little bit, but I'm sure we will be back. You know, we've been around the block a few times and won the league now, and I've got no doubt that unfortunately that once this era, and it's like, you know, this phase one of Manchester City's post takeover has come to an end. You know, Kompany, Silva, Aguero, Fernandinho, all these kind of players unfortunately are moving on. We've already seen the likes of Zabur and Hart and Yaya and all that move on. And we're going to have to find new legends. And it isn't great for other teams, but we will probably just spend a shit ton of money until we get it right. That's not your problem. It's definitely not my problem. But we obviously will spend money until we get it right again, which means eventually we will get it right again. So, yes. What do I think of the draw? Much in Gladbach, do you mean, I presume? Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's a decent draw. Obviously not a perfect draw, because there's no such thing as a perfect draw in the Champions League, but I will take it. How is everyone anyway? Is everyone alright? Please hit the like button if you don't mind, and the subscribe button. Get me to 47,100. I have no idea how many subscribers I'm on right now. I can't really tell you, but I'm on 47,000 and something. So, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I hope you're all well. I hope you're all well. Obviously, I hope Braaf stays, by the way. I hope he does. I probably think that if I was to guess, I would probably think there is something in him being a bit cocky and a bit annoying. I wouldn't be surprised if he has rubbed up training staff and coaches the wrong way, based off of what I can tell off social media. It's just a guess. It's all we can do. It's all any of us can do at the moment. We're not actually there. It's all we can do is guess. But I'm hoping he's young enough to move on from this and grow up, and maybe a little bit of time away from the club on loan would be a good idea. Just so, you know, tempers cool, people relax a little bit, and he comes back feeling confident, but like he belongs, and not in a bad way. So football can change. Football can change very, very quickly, basically. Yeah, Matt's just said that if Cocky isn't acting like he has already made it, it might be the issue, but you'll probably never know for sure. We never know. It could be that he's in between cocky and entitled, if that makes sense. It's a very different thing. I've got nothing wrong with someone. I can beat you. I'm better than you. That's not the thing. But I guess it's like expecting or moaning about being the first team, saying I should start over him, I'm better than him, or something like that. If he said something like that, I'm not saying he has, but that's the point where it becomes entitled, if that makes sense. Anyway, we'll see. John says, life is good, man. I get to work from home today. Much more cushy this way. Good on you, man. I hope you're all well. Who would you compare Braaf to? I haven't seen him play much. He's a bit Sane-esque, I guess, actually. A right-footed Sane, maybe a little bit pace, a bit Sancho-esque. Loads of skill, can beat people. Nicola over there just trashing the flat. She's in the kitchen over there cooking, bless her, and she's just dropped a tablet and my headphones. Are they okay? Bless her. She's wild, this one. No, I wouldn't. I don't just say you've broken anything. And my headphones are fine. Is your tablet all right? Yeah, it's fine. Nicola always seems to tell her. I don't. I go. Her nickname's Little One. So I go, Little One, what are you doing? But I don't tell her off. I'm not clumsy and she is clumsy. I love her to bits. I could never tell her off. Hello. Oh, God. Alexandra's got 2 months lockdown in Greece. I can't handle any more, friend. I'm sorry, man. Sorry. I can relate to that lockdown life, unfortunately, pal. I can relate to it big time. All we can do is crack on and hope for a better year next year. Mate, I got to say I feel bad for Arsenal fans, says Stelios. Seeing how mad I was as well as City fans after yesterday, can't imagine how Arsenal fans are managing. Yeah. Yeah, well, tough luck to them, I guess. Thank you, by the way, to all the members up here. I want to say thank you to all the members. There's so many of them. You're all beautiful and you're all wonderful. I love you all loads. Shaz, what did I think about the game? Oh, God, you can go watch any of the videos I've made on that. A crushing disappointment. I'd like to say I slept very well because you should have pushed me to sleep, but obviously my mind was whirring from seeing thousands of Manchester City fans tweet at me and comment at me all their negative stuff, which I understand. So my head was essentially bombarded with everyone, and I just didn't sleep. And I lay there thinking, oh, I've got to make videos tomorrow about this, and I can't be arsed. So fuck that game for putting me in that mood. Chase Lauren says, Stephen, who do you personally rate above Braaf from the same age group? I never really like to rank the academy players, mate, because I never really know, because obviously you don't know the context of how they're going to perform in the first team environment, and obviously it's a little bit apples and oranges comparing them sometimes, because rating Tommy Doyle compared to Braaf, compared to McAtee, they're all different kind of players, and likewise the Lat once again. But I will say he's up there in that top bracket. You know, I still really rate the likes of Doyle and Delap and McAtee and Palmer very highly as well. Luke and Bete as well. They're all at maybe slightly different stages potentially. But yeah, I rate them all. I mean, those ones are the standout ones for me. And I definitely think Braaf's up there. Some would say he's the best. That wouldn't be a stupid argument. Some would say Palmer's better. Some would say McAtee's better. Some would say Doyle will have the best career because he's, you know, incredibly focused and very talented in one day. I think someone like Doyle will take a while to get to the top, but he's the kind of person where I wouldn't be surprised if Doyle has a career like Jordan Henderson, where he can do everything. He's an absolute leader. For one day, he's lifting up the Champions League for someone and winning Premier Leagues because he's like ultra reliable. And like look at people like Henderson and Darren Fletcher and people like that. These like people that when they're younger, they're like backups, but eventually in time they become top quality midfielders. And I know we want to mock Henderson, but he is for Liverpool in his role. He's top quality. So I won't be surprised if Doyle goes to the top the long way around. Could be at City or maybe not. But Riyad Mahrez there in the comments says, I'm sorry, but Braaf was technically clear of all academy players. I don't think he is technically clear. I'm sorry, mate. I just disagree wholeheartedly. Someone who's watched an awful lot. McAtee and Palmer is just as good technically. So as good as Braaf is, I don't think that's necessarily true personally. I think Braaf for me has a little bit more physicality, a bit more pace, so maybe life was a bit easier for him, but I don't think he's technically better. I don't really agree with that at all. Doyle is like Darren Fletcher, and do you know what? If he has Darren Fletcher's career, he'll be very happy because Darren Fletcher, we can mock him, but Darren Fletcher was a very good player for Man United. Doyle's got a lot of ability. Trust in him. What's Robbie King saying? If Arteta gets sacked, is there a chance he can come back as assistant manager? I mean, if he does, he's given up on his managerial hopes there big time. But I don't think so. No, we're not going to sack Lilo, are we? We're not going to get rid of Lilo there. So I don't think there's any chance. Cole Wider's saying Benacer is 5 foot 8. I don't know what you want about there. People aren't happy about Rodri. Yeah, to be honest, I think Rodri's a good footballer. But I don't think it's Fernandinho. I don't think anyone's Fernandinho, unfortunately. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. We've been chatting away for half an hour. That's flown by, hasn't it? 32 minutes that's gone by. But anyway, thank you for watching me for this impromptu session. Please go watch the video from this morning. Lagan's just joined in, unfortunately, mate. I'm about to end this, and sorry I can't pronounce your name there, mate. But the person, you just got lots of Greek letters that I can't understand. I'm sorry. It says, is Callum Doyle the brother of Tommy Doyle? He's not. Riyad Mahrez. I mean, surely everyone should look for efficiency. Aesthetics are pointless without efficiency. Otherwise, you just. I mean, it always have to be the efficient players. Surely. I mean, aesthetics are nice, but I mean, I don't look for players who just do skills and don't do anything with the ball. I mean, aesthetics are nice, but you have to have productivity is more important because you want to win games. So surely, surely everyone wants a player who's efficient and gets the job done as opposed to the guy who does loads of skills and does fuck all. But obviously, you want the balance. You know, I don't think that's a fair question either. Because it depends how you define efficiency. If you mean just someone who's industrious and works hard, well, that doesn't mean anything. But then if you mean aesthetics as someone who does loads of skills and does nothing, then that doesn't mean either. But if you mean someone who is efficient and gets the job done and scores goals and creates chances, then of course I'll choose that every single time. Kevin De Bruyne is Mr. Efficiency, and I'll take him every single day over someone like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a skillful player who does loads of tricks and doesn't do anything. My mind's blank, but you know the types. It's pronounced Agelos? Is that right, Stelios? I'm going to Google that and see if I know how to pronounce it. Pronunciation. Let's have a look. Nicholas cutting away over there. I can always hear the chopping board chopping. She's got music on, bless her. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Guys, thank you for watching for this live stream. I've enjoyed it. It's been good fun. Subscribe, like, comment. Don't worry. Brighter days will be ahead at some point. We will essentially get better. Mahrez is maybe the person, actually. Lagan cow. No, things will get better. We unfortunately have to accept the low. To be honest, the highs are so much better because the lows exist. Never forget that in life. That's a good life lesson. It's nice when you're really happy because you know you're really happy because you've been really sad, if that makes sense. So there's nothing wrong with shit being good every now and then. Tarabat's a good shout. Tarabat's a good shout indeed. He was on the tip of my tongue actually, but I never said him for whatever reason. Anyway, big love to you all. Be calm. We will be back. It's